Hello, everyone. It's Lisa with Ink and Inspirations, and welcome. We are going to be making a fun fold card with the Yuletide Village stamp set. It's such a fun stamp set and so festive. Love a little Christmas village, and I have one that I many years displayed on a sideboard, and so this stamp set was extra special for me. So if you're watching this premiere when it goes live, if you'll say hello in the comments, and we'd love to know where you're watching from, and thank you for being here. So this is the card we're going to make, and I have a little tie closure, and it's a little trifold 4x4. Okay, so we're going to get started. I'm going to talk a little bit about the supplies that I used. So the base of the card is in Pool Party, and it is our two-tone cardstock that is part of our new scrapbooking / memory keeping collection. And I decided to use it since it's a little lighter based than our regular cardstock, and also I needed a 12 by 12 piece to cut this 4 by 12 for our card, so that was just perfect for this project. So on our two-tone cardstock, there is a white core. So if I tear it, you would see a white reveal, and one side is lighter than the other. It's really hard to tell on camera with the Pool Party, but it is a lighter version on one side. And so we're going to be scoring that. And then the designer paper I chose was this Pool Party and white diagonal stripe, and you'll never guess what collection this came from. Ready? Okay, yeah, the Halloween Spells Designer Series paper. So not just for Halloween. This is a fun little stripe, festive stripe for any time too. But those colors were our Halloween colors in the Halloween Memories scrapbooking kit, and this paper was also included in that, but you can also get this paper separately. Okay, and so I'm using this Pool Party on the flip side. I'm using some of the white willow, which is the white that is in our scrapbooking memory keeping collection. Okay, and it's 2 pieces cut and 3 3/4 inches square. And then I have 2 pieces for the main image in the front. This I die cut with Stylish Shapes. You can see the dotted, faux stitched edging, that little dotted edging, and then a 2.5 inch square of real red. And if you don't have the dies, or you don't have a Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, you could just cut a square this size and it would be just right, okay? Also, I have a strip of real red cardstock. I'm going to be embossing some sentiments on this. And this is just a scrap, and you need it about 1 inch wide, depending on what your sentiments are. Okay, so you can use whatever scrap you have to fit that sentiment. So let's get started. We're going to score this piece first. I'm going to bring in my Simply Scored scoring tool. And let's see, I think I'm going to put this on the inside, and we're going to score it at 4 and 8. Okay, super simple enough. And so let's move this to the side. And then, let's see, I'm going to fold one side inward, and then this will be the card front. And you can see the difference here. You see the darker Pool Party, and then here's the lighter version. Super cool. And then we're going to fold over like that, and then give it a good burnish with our bone folder. Okay. All right. So the ribbon closure goes on next because the designer paper sits on top of it. So I have an 18-inch piece of this Pool Party ribbon. You can use whatever ribbon you have or twine you have that will coordinate with whatever colors you choose. And so that's about 18 inches. So with the card closed, as it's going to be when we're finished, I'm just going to wrap the ribbon around and bring it through like this. And it's going to be about center there, okay? And so to hold it in place, I'm just going to take a little tape runner adhesive. This is our Stampin' Seal. And put a little strip down to hold that. And then I also put some down in the back to hold that steady. Okay? All right, so there we have our closure, okay? And it's ready to go. So next, what I'm going to do is go ahead and put on the designer paper. So we have a piece that's going to go on the front, okay? And then a piece that is going to go on either side here of the inside, all right? And I try to look in, like if you have a pattern or a diagonal stripe or plaid, I try to get it to look the same, okay? And make sure when you place your paper, if there's a certain direction the pattern goes, be sure you have the top up here, okay? So let's go ahead and put that on the inside. Let's see, I need to get my sample so I don't forget to tell you anything. Okay, so in here, I'm going to use some liquid glue and just put some dots around the edges. So I love that we can use this paper, not just for Halloween, but for any time. The reverse side of most of these prints or just an all over anytime use print, okay? So always check that out when you've got designer paper that you're using to make a particular project. You might be like, I was looking specifically for pool party and I thought, okay, let me go through my packs and see which one has pool party. And lo and behold, here was this that I hadn't used that much too long ago. Okay, all right, so we have that. Now while I have this open, I kind of made a mess with my glue, so I'm going to use an adhesive remover here. You can find these at different places. We don't carry them anymore, but I have several. Okay, next, I can go ahead and put a piece of the white willow on the inside. And I want to show you something here. The difference between white willow and our basic white. Okay, so there is a little bit of a difference. You can see it. This is more of a brighter white than our basic white cardstock. All right. And it's also a little thinner too. And so we're having quite a few folds here and quite a few layers. So for mailing purposes, I try to keep the weight down just a bit, okay? So this is going to go here, 3 3/4 inch square. Okay, I can take that off. And then we have this other square. I'm going to go ahead and stamp on that because that is going to go right here when we open up the card, okay? And it's going to have one of the long sentiments on here. So for the sentiments, since Yuletide Village doesn't have any sentiments, you can use any holiday sentiments that you have. And I chose Greetings of the Season because there's so many choices here, and I love the combination of the manuscript and the cursive, okay? All right, I'm going to get a piece of scrap paper and my Stampin' Pierce mat to give me some cushion underneath this photopolymer stamp. And I'm going to stamp the church image right here in the corner. So I'm going to ink up the whole image, but I'm not going to use the whole image on the card, okay, or on that piece of white willow. I think it's white willow or willow white, one of those. Okay, so I'm using Memento Black ink because I'm going to color with alcohol markers our Stampin' Blends. So let's put this on here, and I'm going to stamp most of it on, but just peeking out on one side, okay? And I hope I left room. Yeah, here's my sentiment that's going to go there in just a second, but I'm going to go ahead and color this, all right? Now you see how the snowdrift ends right there? I like to take a Stampin' Right marker. You can either use basic black or basic gray. I don't have my black here with me, so I'm just going to extend it like that, okay, with the bullet tip in. All right, let's color this. So for this, I'm going to use crumb cake on the church and a red door and a green wreath. So, and I've got some snow showing here. Okay, so let me see what I want to do. Okay. Let me go ahead and color the darker parts of the church. So I'm using dark crumb cake, and I'm going to go along like this. Okay, and then come here. So it's just a personal preference as to which colors you choose. I try to keep it either matching the designer paper and what I'm going to do on the front of the card, or a neutral, such as I'm using right here. Okay, let me check everything there. I think that looks okay. I think I'm going to go ahead and do this piece here. Okay, now I'm going to take my light brush tip in and carefully color in around these other areas and around the windows. So when you're coloring with a brush tip in of your stamping blends, you want to have a very light touch. So, and sometimes even then your brush tips can get frayed with use over time. I mean, several of mine are like that get a lot of use, like my pumpkin pie and some of my old olive. Okay, I'm going to come on up here. And when this dries, it does dry lighter than it's showing here. Okay, got a little bit on my wreath, but that's okay because it's going to be a little darker. I think I'm good there. Now let me come on up here to the top. I'm going to do this part in crumb cake and the steeple in, I think I'm going to use light smoky slate. Let's see here. That looks dark, doesn't it? Yep, I grabbed the dark one, but I'm going to lighten it up and I'll show you how I'm going to do that. So I'm going to take my color lifter and pull up some of this color. See there? And I'm going to pull some of the color off of that wreath. So it lifts the color and makes things lighter. It's good for shading too. Okay, now let me check something on that snowdrift that's on top of the church roof. I always forget how I've decided to color that. And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to take my light, is this crumb cake? Yes, light crumb cake, and color in right up here, and then leave the rest of it as the snow drift. Okay. All right, next I'm going to get my light real red bullet tip end and color the bow on the wreath. And let's see, I think I did a red door. Didn't I do a red door? It's like, where did I put my, yeah, I did. I did a red door because I'm going to stamp the sentiment in red. So I wanted to bring that color in. All right, now I'm going to take light smoky slate and do this little path. Okay, then I'm going to take my light bullet tipped old olive and color the wreath. Okay, Then I'm going to do, let's see, do I want to do dark old olive? I think I do on part of the tree here. So I'm going to see how I did it originally. I think I did like right here, came down this side just a little bit, and then take light old olive, and I'm leaving some of these little areas. Let me see if I can, like right here, as little snow drifts, or not, I don't know what you, little snow on the branches of the, okay, so I'm leaving that white. And then I want to take light lemon lolly, and I'm going to color in the windows like there's light coming from within. Okay. Then for the snow, what I decided to do was use my Wink of Stella. Just like that, and do all of the snow like it's glistening in the moonlight. Okay, isn't that a pretty little church? Then I'm ready to stamp my sentiment, and I'm going to do that in real red. Line that up. There we go. Now I'm going to glue that on the inside here. Well, that's the completed one, Lisa. So that's going to go right here. And then we're going to go on and work on the front of the card and then do some embossing. Okay, for the next step, what I did is here's the finished on the inside. And I put this last piece of pattern paper over the top of the ribbon on the front, and I used liquid glue to apply that and let it dry just a bit. So now I have my 2 3/8 inch square. You can either die cut it or cut it with your trimmer. And I'm going to take these two little houses and ink these up in Memento ink and put them right here, not all the way to the bottom, okay? So I'm leaving a little bit, and I'm going to stamp. Then I'm going to take my marker, my Stampin' Right marker again, and carry these snow drifts out just a bit, like that, so it goes through on the edge. And then I am going to also put two little eyes on this snowman. He doesn't have any eyes, so put them there. And then I'm going to color it in fast motion, since you saw me do the church in regular motion. And then we'll continue on and start working on the building up the front of our card. Okay, so now I have my image glued to the real red square, all right? And so I cut that square 2.5 by 2.5. The top square is 2 3/8 inch squared. And then I have some liquid glue, and I'm just going to put this image on the front center of our card, okay? Just eyeball it. Okay, so now we're going to work on our embossing our sentiments. Let's put this aside. I have this 1-inch strip, and I have a Merry Christmas in the script from the Greetings of the Season set. So I want to spread that out because I'm cutting these apart. And then I have To You and Yours from that same stamp set that I'll also be cutting out. Okay, so I'm going to take an embossing buddy and go ahead and rub it. This helps keep the embossing powders from sticking everywhere besides where you want it. And I'm going to use Versamark ink, which is for embossing. And I'm going to ink up the Merry Christmas. It's a clear, sticky ink. And when you stamp on solid cardstock, you get a tone-on-tone look. So I'm going to stamp that in the center. Again, I'm going to be cutting these apart. And then I want to stamp the To You and Yours on this other end so I can emboss it all at the same time. Okay, all right. Let me get my embossing powder here, and we're going to pour it over those stamped images in Versamark. I'll hold it with these reverse tweezers and just do that. So that embossing buddy worked well. I'm not getting that except it's caught on my tweezers there. So what I like to do after I get the embossing powder, I look to see if there's any stray and try to brush that off, and then I turn it over my container with my embossing powder and flick it some, okay? I see a little bit right there, so I try to get it off with my finger, and let's move that embossing powder out of the way. I'm going to grab it again with reverse tweezers. These are some I picked up at a 5 and dime store, but there are some in our embossing essentials kit along with the embossing buddy. Okay, so we're going to turn that on 2 levels, 1 and 2. So for embossing, I like 2. Let it heat up just a little bit and watch the magic happen. So you can tell when it's embossed, it gets very bright white, as you can see how it's turning. So just slowly move it over your image or your sentiment. And I find that I use the embossing, heat embossing, a lot for holiday projects. I like the look of the white on a colored cardstock. Okay, turn that off, and we're going to let that sit just a minute to dry. I'll put my lid on my embossing buddy and do that. While that's drying, I want to show you what I'm going to do here on the front so this can be drying. I have these loose snowflakes, white loose snowflakes, and I'm going to put 3 of them on the front here of the card. So I think I know exactly where I can put these and not interfere with my sentiment. So just a little dot of glue. And let's see if I can pick these up. So I'm going to put one right here. Oh, that one is broken. Okay, let me switch that out. Okay, I didn't know I had a faulty snowflake. I might have done it with that tweezer, pinch that off. Okay, so let me put another little bit of glue. Okay, and then let me try the putty side. Yeah, that's the way to do it, Lisa. All right, put it there, and we're going to let it dry. And then I'm going to try to get a smaller one. And I picked up 3. So I'm going to put one here. And then maybe another larger one. There's several sizes in here. I try not to be too picky about which one I pick up. Okay. So pretty little embellishment there. And now let's go back to our embossed piece. And I'm going to get my trimmer in here and show you how I cut these down. I wanted a straight edge on these since we're working with squares and straight cuts on everything. So what I'm going to do is just kind of trim it down. Just slide this into my trimmer and make sure I'm not going to cut off any of the embossed sentiment. And I'm just going to get close to it. So I know I want this one by itself. And I'm just going to glue it down. So I'm going to go about that much. Let me zoom in just a little bit. And get this here. So I'd rather cut off too much than not enough. Okay, that's a little crooked because it's slid. So I'm going to put this back in here. I'm going to line it up on one of our measurement lines there and then just cut. Okay, so I like how that looks. I think I'm going to trim a little bit more off of that. So I'm just going to line it up on a line here. Make sure I don't cut any of the words off and cut. And it's just a sliver, but sometimes that makes a difference. So that was such a tiny sliver. It was, I think that looks okay. Should I chance it? I'm going to try it again. There we go. I like that better. So I trim it as close as I can. All right. So I just keep cutting off little slivers off. Okay. So that's going to be for our front. And this is going to be for the inside. So you see how long that Y is? I'm not going to cut any off of the bottom of that. But I'm going to go ahead and cut off this. And maybe some off of this side, just a hair. And again on this side. Just so it has a neat look. And you could so do this with your scissors too, okay? I just find it easier to slice it with my trimmer. Okay, so there's Mary. Let's get Christmas down like that. I'm going to flip that over, and I'm going to leave it, even though there's some space underneath Christmas, I don't want it to be that much different than my Mary, okay? Even though they're not going to be exactly together, and I'm going to show you. So we're going to open this up, and this is to tie the inside in with the outside. See how I did that? Okay, so let's get this, and I'm going to do the outside first because I'm sure these little snowflakes are still drying. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to glue that right there. Okay, so let me get my glue bottle again. Okay, and put that down, and I'm going to hold that just a bit. Press it down. Okay, then I'm going to ever so gently open this up and not push down on this side because I'm sure those snowflakes won't like that. And so I'm going to put Christmas here and Mary like this, kind of overlapping it at an angle. Okay, so let me go ahead and put my Christmas. And then Mary's going to go right like that, okay? Just like that, then there's room to sign your name. You could even make this a gift card holder if you wanted to cut a strip of red cardstock and just put adhesive on these two sides, and on the bottom you could slip a gift card in there or even a wallet size photo, okay? So let's go ahead and close this up. Oh, we did good with our snowflakes. So this 18-inch piece of ribbon is a little too long, but I would rather have it that way because you might want to tie yours in a bow, which I could do here. It would be kind of short. Let me show you. You know, if you wanted to, I like the knot. Okay, so before I mail this, I will trim this off about there and there. This will fit in the standard size envelope. You see how thin, even though we have all those layers. So that's the beauty of this two-tone cardstock in our memory keeping scrapbooking supplies. It's thinner, and so you can have some layers and you don't have that much weight. Okay. All right, I hope you will give this a try. Be sure and check out, if you haven't seen, that awesome little stamp set that we've been using today, Yuletide Village. It is so cute and so fun to color and super easy. So please check that out. I'll have the information below the video. And if you need a sentiment stamp, Greetings of the Season will do you just fine. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate if you gave it a thumbs up, like, and share, and I will see you again soon. Thanks so much for watching. This is Lisa Brown with Ink and Inspirations, inspiring you to create, share, and make a difference. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.